gang, Casey here. Let's discuss some tips and tricks for required minimum distributions. Fun stuff. Let's get started. The year you turn 70 and a half is your distribution year. It's the first year where there's required distribution. Unlike with later years, you get a one-time special break in the age 70 and a half. The minimum distribution for that year is not required to be taken until April 1st of the following year. In all other years, there's a required minimum distribution, or RMD, that must be taken by December 31st of the distribution year. If my client's income is still too high and they don't want or need to take the RMD to pay living expenses, then we look for ways to reduce the RMD, such as rolling it into an employer plan if they're still working, Roth conversions, or purchasing a qualified longevity annuity, or a QLAC, which I'll get into next. And keep in mind, a QLAC can be used before the age 70 and a half. Okay, so what's a QLAC? A QLAC is a longevity annuity that does not start paying until you reach age 85. It eventually pays you a life income, but the income does not start until that later age, meaning that your investment, if made when you're years younger than 85, has many years to accumulate and grow. So the income you eventually get will be larger. The purpose is to ensure against living too long or outliving your income. Now, normally delayed annuities are not legal investments for IRAs because the minimum distribution rules require IRA-owned annuities to start paying out no later than age 70 and a half. But the IRS has made an exception to permit IRAs to purchase qualified longevity annuities, or QLACs, with up to $125,000 of the IRA balance, or 25% of the IRA's owner's total IRA balance if less. When the QLAC is purchased, the purchase price and value of the QLAC are no longer counted as part of the IRA balance for purposes of figuring out the IRA's annual RMD. Now, this begins the year after the year of the purchase. How cool is that? Let's give an example. Okay, so say Sarah is turning age 70 and a half and age 71 in 2015. She plans to keep working and expects to continue to be in a high tax bracket for at least another 5 years. Our projections show she'll have a comfortable income even after retirement. But if she lives to a very old age, it could become questionable. We find a QLAC that will pay her a good income starting at age 85 in about 15 years. She buys it inside her IRA for $125,000. By removing this $125,000 from her account value base in 2015, this move will reduce her next year's IRA RMD 2016 by $4,883, saving her about $1,900 of income taxes. And more savings will accrue each year after until the QLAC starts paying out. If the contract makes sense for her, the tax saving is a nice little bonus. Of course, her income and taxes will go up when she reaches age 85 and starts collecting on that QLAC, but she won't be working then, or so she tells me, so she won't mind the taxable income as much. You can also buy a QLAC in your IRA earlier or later than the year you reach age 70 and a half. The earlier you buy it, the longer your $125,000 investment has to accumulate, and thus reduce your RMDs before age 85 by an even larger amount. The longer you wait to buy it, the less of a good deal it is and the less value it has for reducing RMDs. So, should you take the RMD this year or next year? Well, since you have a choice, which is better? Take the age 70 and a half year RMD in the age 70 and a half year, or postpone it into the age 71 and a half year. Despite a magazine article that said never postpone the first year RMD, this is actually something that needs to be decided on a case-by-case basis. In a few cases, the choice will be easy. You might want to postpone the first year's RMD if you need the age 70 and a half year distribution to pay immediate living expenses, things like that. A person who is in a more or less steady income tax bracket, but whose RMDs are large enough that bunching two of them into 1 year would push them into a higher tax bracket in the age 71 and a half year, should probably not postpone. And postponing it is not possible if you want to do a rollover or conversion from the plan in 2015, right? Because here's where it gets tricky. The RMD must be distributed before the account can distribute money for a rollover or a conversion. Okay, so you probably should postpone the first year's RMD if someone is still working and earning a high income, but plans to retire later in the age 70 and a half year, and would expect to have a substantially lower income next year. For instance, someone who's leaving his entire IRA to charity will probably postpone, since if he happens to die before taking the RMD, that is just a little more money that will go to the charity, income tax free. Anyone who wants to maximize the amount of the IRA that will pass to her beneficiaries upon death should postpone taking the RMD as long as possible, in case you die prior to the postponed distribution deadline. And here you thought taking your RMD was cut and dry. Please make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel here so you get updated every time I post a video. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Annuity to guarantee it, then you're done. Okay? If you don't want to do an annuity, that's fine. Keep going. Okay, so the next one is going to be preferred shares. Okay, preferred shares kind of act similar to bonds and stocks, and that's what we're going to get to further down this circle. Okay, so preferred shares, go to finance.yahoo.com and type in the ticker symbol PFF. Not recommending PFF, but this will give you the rates that preferred shares are paying. Now, because